I'm Gina, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey Gina.
I've been through the process as it's laid out in the big book with a step study sponsor who's done the same. Meetings like this and people like you, I have made most of my amends, and I practice 10, 11, and 12 to the best of my willingness on a daily basis. Susan, thank you for chairing. Tina's not here, but I would thank her for inviting me, and it's just great to be here. I have to say, this is the emptiest I think I've ever seen this room, actually. So is there something going on this weekend? I don't know. So I have to say that this meeting was the first big book meeting I ever came to, and I felt then the way I feel now, that even if I'm having a really bad day or bad week, coming here and seeing so many of you always makes me feel better. I just love this meeting. I've always loved this meeting, and love the people in it. So I'm happy to be here. Step 6 and 7 is so short, but it's so meaningful and powerful and has so much to do with my recovery. A little bit about my background. So I started drinking at age 13, and by the time I had accepted that drugs and alcohol had made my life unmanageable, I had also gone through a lot of other self-destructive behavior too. It wasn't just drugs and alcohol. I had an eating disorder when I was young, which I wouldn't wish upon anybody. It's like being in your own prison, and divine intervention helped me with that. I've had other addictions, trying to turn bad boys good, which, if you think of the whole menu of potential self-destructive behaviors, this is probably the dumbest, because whether you're trying to turn a bad boy, bad girl, non-binary, I don't care, whatever it is, good through a romantic relationship, first of all, it's probably impossible. And second, if I was really being honest, if I ever actually succeeded in that, I would probably not be interested in them anymore. So it's really a dumb one, and thank God that is far, far in the past. At least 5 months.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I say this because this is part of my character defects. This is part of what maintained my drinking and drugging, because alcohol was always there. It started at age 13. It was always there. But I picked up hard drugs at my late 20s, and a large part of that was because I could not deal with emotion, the emotions that I was putting on myself. I did not know how to deal with stress, and it was my coping mechanism. And thankfully, I picked up hard drugs, because if I hadn't, they brought me to my knees very quickly. I don't know, who knows what, I could still even be out there drinking, because I never wanted to put down alcohol. And I believe this is all divine intervention. So, in addition to my character defects, what started all of this for me, really, the root cause of all of these things, and I think all these self-destructive behaviors for me, the root cause is the same. It's low self-worth, and it's lack of spirituality or soul sickness or whatever you want to call it in my life. And because I had been through all of that stuff, by the time drugs and alcohol made my life unmanageable, there was no question in my mind that this was a thinking problem and not a drinking problem. There was no question in my mind that I was not going to get better unless I changed myself. I just had no idea how to do that. I had no idea how to do that. And so I sought therapy, and that really only gets you so far. And for me, it got me to AA. She suggested that, maybe, first of all, she wasn't going to let me do a session with her when I came in high. I don't know. I didn't understand that. And she sent me basically right to AdCare. So for that, I'm grateful. And I spent 7 years in the 12 and 12. I got right on the steps because, again, there was no question for me. I knew I needed to change myself, or I really felt like I was gonna die or implode or lose everything I had. And so I got right on the steps, and that did take me really far. And then I had an emotional bottom, and I made it to Big Book Step Study, and this is where I've been for the last 7 years. So I knew that I needed a psychic change, and the book talks about the psychic change, and all the work up to 6 and 7, it feels like work, right? Like for those of you who have written a step 4, or you're in the process of writing step 4, it feels like work. But I was told when I was done with step 5 that now the real work begins, and I was like, oh my God! I mean, that's what the hell? I thought I solved all the problems by doing step 5. So what I've learned and been told is that, step 4, 5, all of that was my life before having a conscious contact with God, and step 6 and 7 starts my life after having a conscious contact with God. And this is the action. This is now the real action. So steps, and these are so short, so I'm just going to, and I think the way I've heard people do 6 and 7, it seems just a bit individualized. I think people have done a lot of different things that I've heard. I've heard really good suggestions in these meetings. But step 6 is willingness. The principle of step 6 is willingness. And for me, that was becoming aware of what my character defects were, because I was not aware of any of those things. I had no awareness. Becoming aware and accepting what my character defects were. And here that says, what's the character defect? So it's something that, where the hell is it? Oh, that which we've admitted are objectionable. So will God remove from us the things which we have admitted are objectionable? I can easily get in the weeds with this because some of my traits can be objectionable in some contexts, but not in others. So is it a character defect? I don't know. So I've been told, I didn't know this, but I've been told by many people that I'm always right. And so when it's been said to me in a work environment, it's been a very positive thing. They've been saying it in a positive way. When it was said to me by several ex-boyfriends, I don't know. I don't think that they meant it as a compliment. I'm slow, but that's probably a character defect, right? But it's like, for me, that's when to keep my mouth shut. I don't know what's best for anybody. I'm not God, and it's about when to keep my mouth shut. God is in everybody's life, and they will discover their own truth, and he will help them do that. It's not my job to do that. So that is a character defect, being always right with people. So empathy is another one. Empathy does not sound like a character defect, right? That sounds like a positive thing. It sounds like a positive quality, and it's one I was born, I really believe I was born with a lot of empathy, and I trust people until they give me a reason not to. And I see the good in people. I've always had that ability to see the good in people until they give me a reason, a real good reason not to. Like I need to be head over the head with a sledgehammer, basically to decide that I can see negative qualities in an individual. So empathy is something that I think is a good quality. But in my life, it has also been a character defect because I have misused it. And I have had to learn how to use it appropriately. And so sometimes, I do think everybody is deserving of empathy. But sometimes I need to have boundaries and protect myself. And if I looked at my step 4, the stuff that kept coming up over and over again which I consider to be character defects were, I had no business being in the situation. I should have left them alone. They have a higher power and it's not me. It was a lot, I should mind my own business. It was a lot of that kind of stuff. And so I've had to learn how to, through 6 and 7, ask for a lot of help around when to set boundaries. So it can be really tricky, like what is a character defect? It's something that's objectionable. It's something, as the book defines it, it's something that's getting in the way of my usefulness to God and my fellows. And if it's something that's hurting me, it's getting in the way of my usefulness to God and my fellows. And so that's one that kept coming up for me. So the first part of step 6 is just about what are they? I need to become aware and accept them, and be willing to do that. And I did that in the 12 and 12. There's a way to do it in the 12 and 12 where you read step 6 and 7, you circle everything that's a character defect that you have. I don't know, I had like 76 or something ridiculous like that. And then you write a little bit about how they each affect your life. So I went back to that when after I got to 6 and 7 in the big book. Am I doing okay on time? I have no idea.
Perfect.
All right. It feels like I've been up here forever. Okay, so it's been like 7 minutes. 76 character defect, that's a bit of overkill. So it was kind of cool because when I picked that list back up after I was doing these steps this way, I really could see the progress because already many of those were not causing an issue in my life anymore. Already many of them were not. And so I can honestly say, like, just through finding God and doing this work, the psychic change has occurred. I still have work to do. I am not perfect. I still have work to do, but many of those things have gotten considerably better. So procrastination was another big one for me. And I talk about this because, I mean, that doesn't sound like that big of a deal, procrastination. But for me, oh my God, like, I was in a high pressure job and I, would feel overwhelmed with all the work I had to do and I would put it off and put it off. And then I would do a whole bunch of blow, like for 2 days, and get it all done. And then it became like I was putting stuff off just so I had a reason to do blow. And so it was a real problem for me. And I was really scared that if I didn't do something about that, I was going to start using again. And so that was a big one. And in step 7, it is the action. So there's the identifying what the issues are, and then step 7 is the action. And it says to ask God to help remove these shortcomings, right? And every single defect of character. But I also think, for me, for some of these, I would ask God to remove them, but I also had to do some work myself. And I do think God is one of the reasons that we have tools in our lives. And I did a lot of, with procrastination, I did a lot of looking up strategies and I had Post-its everywhere. You can do it, just do it for 5 minutes. There's all these little things you can do. And I have to say, it's not a big issue in my life anymore, thank God. So step 7 is humility. The principle is humility. And I think it's humility because it's admitting that I am not the person who is going to make myself better. I tried that for 33 years, and it didn't work. I am not the one that's going to make myself better. I've got to ask for help. And, when I ask for help, it's not like I'm just asking for help and it's done. There's people put into my life in the moments when I need the help. It is amazing how that happens. I went through something, I like to joke. I do joke about my relationship history because in some ways it is kind of funny, but in other ways it's been very devastating to me. It's been very sad, and joking about it helps me deal with it. The fact I can joke about it today is a good thing, but the last thing I went through, which I hope to God I never get myself into again. Women were put into my life who, my hairdresser, the woman who gives me massages, I learned had similar experiences. Other women from this program. I just met all of these amazing people, and that helped give me strength and helped give me lessons and tools and information about what I could do. And that's God. So it's not like I just ask for help and then, it's over and then I rest on my laurels and sit around with my thumb up my butt or whatever. Like I need to do the work. And sometimes that's being vulnerable and talking to people about what's going on. So asking God for help, I'll also just say, like, when I am feeling spiritually fit, my character defects are not coming up. Like when I'm feeling good about myself and I'm feeling spiritually fit and I'm practicing self-compassion, I am not sitting around judging other people. I am not comparing myself to other people. I am not, getting impatient with other people, except on the road, but I think that's allowed. I think that's okay. So I am not, when I'm spiritually fit, when I'm judging other people, that means I'm sick, because happy people don't judge other people. There's actually been studies on this. Like, happy people don't judge other people. So when I'm feeling spiritually fit, these things aren't coming up. It's a lot of work for me to stay spiritually fit because it does not come naturally to me. I believed, for whatever reason, from a very young age. Are you cutting me off yet?
No.
Okay, I have 2 more. All right, so I believed, for whatever reason, from a very young age, that life was supposed to be hard. Life was something that you survive. It was not something that was supposed to be joyous and free and happy. And that is how I lived my life. And the only way that I could feel calm, relaxed, or even like pay attention to anyone else and not the voices in my own head was to drink. The only time I felt calm and not stressed and could actually live in the moment and pay attention to what someone's saying to me without thinking about what am I going to say next or how's my hair look, like I was to drink. Like that was the only way I knew how to do that. And I don't believe life was meant to be hard today. It's not something you survive. My life today, even though I have been through some shit in sobriety, is fun. It's fun. And I still have all of those great things that I want to have in my life, and I can do that and still have fun. I had a very good friend take me to see Joan Jett last night, which she's still alive. And it was awesome. It was awesome. And I wouldn't have even let myself do that before, or I would have gotten too stoned as soon as I got there that I would have had to leave. Like I have missed many concerts because I was wasted and I just couldn't even sit through it. So life is not meant to be hard. It's meant to be joyful and happy. And what keeps me joyful and happy are meetings, my friends, and God. And thank you for letting me share. With that, I'll stop. I don't want to listen.